Hi there, accountants. I hope all is well, and I pray that as you're viewing this video, that you're in the best of health and spirit. So this video will cover how to navigate Chapter 1 for QuickBooks Online for Accountant, the 7th edition by Glenn Owen. So essentially, chapter by chapter, you essentially follow all of the directions in the textbook, and that shows you how to navigate QuickBooks. So Chapter 1 essentially covers an introduction to QuickBooks Online using the sample company. And here it states some of the learning objectives. Upon completion of this chapter, the student will be able to do the following. Open the sample company provided by Intuit to explore QBO, which stands for QuickBooks Online, access customer, vendor, and employee information, explore banking transactions, explore sales and expense transactions, explore the chart of accounts, explore lists, access reports, use the gear icon to view company settings. So here with the overview, it says Intuit has provided a sample company online to provide new users a test drive of its QBO product. You will open the sample company and explore various features of QuickBooks Online. In this chapter, you'll be viewing the sample company, looking at customer, vendor, and employee information. You will also be viewing banking, sales, and expense transactions, and we'll be looking at the chart of accounts, lists, reports, and company settings. You will not make any changes such as adding a customer invoice check and so on. That'll take place in the next chapter. All right, so to begin the sample company walkthrough, it says you can use this sample company to explore QBO as often as you like. No matter what you do to modify the sample company, you will be unable to save it. When you leave and later return, it will look the same as it did initially. Each time you open the sample company, it will retrieve your current system date, the actual date you're working on your computer, and place that date under the company name and the home page. So essentially, we follow the steps. So to open a sample company, it says to do the following. Open your internet browser. You can type it, or you could even click on a hyperlink. So when you click on the hyperlink, another browser will open. You select I am not a robot. Select continue. And then from there, we see the sample company will appear, Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. So to ensure we understand how to navigate this, we will put them side by side. All right, so we clicked on a hyperlink. Now we see Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. And here we see the sample company's dashboard. And here we see it's just basically a sample of a company's dashboard when it was presented. The title reads Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. We also see a logo icon at the left. A toggle button labeled privacy is at the top right corner of the window. So this basically just lets us know the different things that are available. On the left side, we see the navigation pane. We have bank transactions, sales, expenses, customers, and leads, reports, payroll, time, budgets, taxes, my accountant, lending and banking, commerce, etc. So here it asks us to look at figure 1.2, and this is when we click on the gear icon up above. We see, let's make this a little bigger. All right, so this is asking us to click on the new icon. So here we see the new icon here. So step 3 wants us to click on that new icon to view the create menu as shown in figure 1.2. So we see invoice, receive payment, statements, etc. Under customers, we see vendors, we see team, and we see other. So as we move on to the next step, it says QBO provides easy access to customer information using the navigation bar. In this section, you will open the customer section in a new tab and drill down to a specific customer and specific transactions related to that customer. So again, the main purpose of this first chapter is to allow you to become more familiar with how to navigate QuickBooks. So that way, when you move on to the other chapters, you have a better understanding of how to navigate. So here it's asking us to click on sales and then customers. So here we see sales, and then we click on customers. All right, so here we start to see our customers, and then the resulting customers window is then revealed as we see here. And then in order to close this navigation pane, on the top left where it says sample company, we essentially click on the three lines. Sometimes we kind of call it the hamburger for those who utilize QuickBooks. So we click on this to open it, the navigation pane, and then we click on it to close it back. So now we scroll down and it's asking us to click on Amy's Bird Sanctuary to view detailed transactions related to this particular customer. So we click on Amy's Bird Sanctuary. And then here we see as it shows, and then, with QuickBooks, it shows you some details. So it says select any transaction to view its details and status. I'll put this on the top. It says get additional links to deleted transactions and other reports. Select edit to change transaction details. Create, edit, and review all your templates for repeat transactions. So here we see there's a $239 outstanding payment for Amy's Bird Sanctuary. So the $239 overdue balance noted at the top of the window correlates to invoice 1021, right? Now, how do we know that? So here we see the $239 that is still outstanding. So to view it, scroll down the transactions list for Amy Bird Sanctuary. All right. And then from there, we can see, again, this amount is what is overdue. So if we click on it, we see invoice 1021, which shows that we owe, or Amy owes us rather, $239. So in order to access vendor information, we do the following. So we'll close out of this. Now to access vendor information, we go to expenses. We click on vendors. And then a vendor listing as shown in figure 1.6 appears. So it's asking us to click on the Broshnahan Insurance Agency to view detailed transactions. So we see it here, Broshnahan Insurance Agency. We click on it. And here is showing that we have $241.23 of a balance that we need to pay them. So we click on the bill. And here is showing that we need to pay them for insurance. So we have the option to schedule an online payment. And let's say in the event that we, maybe we mail them a check, we can indicate in the program that it was marked as paid, or maybe we paid them in cash, right? QuickBooks Online, it essentially tracks money in and out of our checking account, but things like cash, we would manually need to account for, so we can mark it as paid. When we pay it, we also have the opportunity to schedule an online payment. So that's how we access our vendor information. To access employee information, we would do the following. So we close out of this. We go back to our navigation pane. We click payroll. Then we select employees. And then from there, we see an employee listing as shown in figure 1.9. So next it wants us to click edit for John Johnson. So here we see John Johnson. We click on it. And then it wants us to edit the information for him. So we select edit. And then as we see in figure 1.10, we see on our screen, we see title, his first name, last name, preferred name, etc. And again, here we have this employee name, the title, employees at the top of the window, all of the names, etc. So anytime we need to update the employee information, this is where we would go. So we close out of this. And then the next step is essentially to click the R icon located in the top right. In this case, it says L. But again, the key thing is basically just showing you how to navigate QuickBooks Online. So here we are. We sign out, but again, we still essentially need to, keep moving forward. So we're not going to sign out. The next step, and we'll actually go to the next page. And now we're going to move on to the banking transactions. But, just so you know, anytime you need to log out, you click on the icon. It'll show different things. If your name starts with L, you'll see L. If your name starts with E, you'll see E, etc. Then you simply sign out. But the next step for us is to start to look at some banking transactions. So we go to banking. And then from there, we click on our bank transactions. And you have the opportunity to get an overview, or you can take a guided tour, totally up to you, but that option is there. All right. So the next step here it asks us is we see the banking, we see the checking, we see the savings account, and then there's another MasterCard account. And next it asks us to scroll down to the check-in page to view the banking transaction. So if you scroll down, we see these transactions here. So we have some money that came in, and then we also have some money that was spent. So obviously we need to go through each item to determine, how these transactions need to be categorized. So the next step, it wants us to scroll back up the check-in page and then click Go to Bank Register. So this is the link that we select, Go to Bank Register. And this basically shows us a detail of all of the transactions that have been recorded. So here it says when we click Go to Bank Register on the right to view the traditional checking account register, listing each QBO recorded check, deposit, or cash transaction affecting the checking account shown in figure 1.13. All right, a message did appear, so we close it. But this is essentially what we see. We see the ending balance shows $1,201, and the bank balance shows a negative $3,621.93. And the reason is because there's several transactions. There's 25 transactions in the bank feed that have not been added to the register. So as we see here, we'll go back to the chart of accounts, or back to the checking account rather. All right, so as we see here, bank deposits which have not been recorded in QBO and are not recognized are temporarily classified as uncategorized income. So as we see, this $55 from Books by Bessie, and then there's $200 from A Rental. Those are essentially categorized as uncategorized income. Bank charges that have not been recorded in QuickBooks Online and are not recognized, they're temporarily classified as uncategorized expense. So the bank register, as we previously saw, is basically similar to a general ledger account, right? Seen in traditional accounting, we have the debits and we have the credits. So in this case, payments are essentially our credits, because we know that anytime there's a decrease to our cash account, it is represented with a credit, but obviously here it just shows a payment. And then the deposits represents increases, which in accounting will essentially be our debits. I understand it could be a little confusing because, based on a positioning, it's the reverse. But again, it's just the interface for QuickBooks. But again, the key thing is you just need to understand the logics. And as it states here, registers exist for all assets, liabilities, and equity accounts. And they basically help to identify and or correct errors if they occur. So now the next step is for us to, look at sales and expense transactions. So we go to sales. We select all sales. And then this is basically what we see. Over. All right, so it shows the estimates, unbilled income, 10 overdue invoices, 20 open invoices and credits, and how much we've recently been paid. So it asks us to click on invoice 1036. We click on it. And this is from Freeman's Sporting Goods. And this is basically, again, just, showing what's the invoice activity, showing the products and services, what did we provide them with. And then if we need to edit the invoice, we can edit it. And we can see exactly what we build them for sod, for soil, for gardening, for a rock fountain, a fountain pump, etc. So we get to see, the details of the invoice. So as it says here, the expense transactions section will provide a listing of recent credit card charges, bills, expenses, purchases, orders, checks, bills, payments, and cash payments. So we basically have the opportunity, we can drill down into a particular transaction. So the next step is for us to go to our expenses. Then we click expenses again. And we're just going to close these out. I mean, you do have the option to look at those videos. Totally up to you. All right. But again, as we see all of these expenses, next thing is that asking us to click on Squeaky Clean Car Wash. We click on it. And then here we see this $19.99. And then it's basically just providing us with details. So obviously I'm doing a very high level overview, but as you're going through these, you can essentially click on the details so that way you have a greater understanding of, hey, all right, why is this, bank credit card account, MasterCard? Why? Because we use our MasterCard account to pay Squeaky Clean Car Wash $19.99. All right. And then a lot of times if clients, they have receipts, they can upload it. You can attach a copy of the receipt. You can put a memo. You can put a description and things of that nature. So we close out of this. To close the credit card charge window, do you want to leave without saving? Yes, as mentioned, this is a sample company, so nothing we do is going to save. So just keep that in mind. Next, it wants us to look at the settings. So the settings window, also known as the gear icon, is accessed by clicking the gear icon located in the upper right portion of the QuickBooks window. So we click here. This is essentially the gear icon. So we click on the gear icon and it wants us to click on account and settings. To view the company name, type, address, and so on as shown here. So we have company, we have usage, sales, expenses, time, advance. And again, you can click on the details, but this is just giving us a better understanding of how to navigate. So we close that out. Next, the chart of accounts. The chart of accounts is a listing of all accounts available. Each account is assigned a type and a detailed type. The sample company's chart of accounts has been modified from the default chart of accounts, and it's tailored to this company needs because not all companies need these particular accounts, and some will need additional accounts. So think about it like this, right? If we have a business that is cash only, they do not extend products or services to customers on account. In such case, we don't need an accounts receivable account, right? We do not extend credit. So just something to keep in mind. If there's a company that does not have any equipment, there's no need for an equipment account in the chart of accounts. All right. Again, why? Because the account is not going to be used. So the chart of account basically is a listing of all accounts available to record transactions as it relates to the operations of the business. So to view the sample company's chart of accounts or any company's chart of accounts, we click the gear icon, the type right under your company. We click on chart of accounts. And then from there, we see a listing of all of the accounts. And then again, you can click on the detail for more information. So just scroll down the chart of accounts. We see each asset, liability, and equity account has a view, register, action item listing. So we can view, register, we can edit, make it inactive. Again, that's if there's an account that you're not going to use, and we can run the reports. So as we scroll down, we'll see the balance in the chart of accounts for accounts payable. So if we scroll down, we see here that for accounts payable, there's a balance of $1,602.67. So if we select view register, as it asks here, we see the register for accounts payable as shown here, right? And it's basically letting us know that we, owe money. There's Norton Lumber, there's Robertson and Associates, etc. So we owe people. All right, so that's basically the chart of accounts. We go back to the chart of accounts located at the top. We click on this hyperlink, so it takes us back to all of the accounts. We scroll down the chart of accounts to see each revenue and expense account. So our revenues are as follows. We have, billable expense income, design income, discounts given, fees billed, landscaping services. So it lets us know all of our income accounts. And then it also lets us know our expense accounts, our cost of goods sold, our advertising, automobile, etc. So scroll down the chart of accounts to see each revenue and expense. All of them have a report that can be run. So one thing to keep in mind, our assets, liabilities, and our equity accounts, we see view register. And for our income, our retained earnings, but essentially our revenue and our expense accounts, which, retained earnings essentially is the profits that we retain in a business, we run a report. So here's asking us to click run report on the landscaping services account line to view an account report, quick report for this account. So let's go to our landscaping services. All right, we run report since 90 days ago. All right, and here we see the report. It lets us know how much income we've generated for landscaping services. All right, and again, you can click on the details. Next, we have lists. Lists in QBO provide you with an easy and quick way to view a collection of common items. Some of the more common lists include the chart of accounts, products, and services in terms. You can decide to view a summary of all the lists available in QBO and explore the list of terms. So here's asking us to click the gear icon and then click all lists. And we'll see all of the lists here as it shows in figure 1.23. Again, you can click on the details to get a greater explanation. Here it asks us to click on terms. Again, you can click on the details for a greater explanation. Next, we move on to reports. So QuickBooks Online comes with many pre-designed reports for use in business, all of which you can customize for your particular needs. For instance, you can decide to focus on the common financial statements reports, the income statement. In QuickBooks Online, it's referred to as the profit and loss report or profit and loss statement, balance sheet, and the statement of cash flow. So we click reports from the navigation bar. Keep in mind, this top right is the gear icon. Top left, the 3 lines, is the navigation bar. This is to close it. This is to open it. All right, so we've opened the navigation bar and asks us to click on reports. Now click it again to close it. Then it asks us to click on standard. So there's standard, there's custom reports, and there's management reports. So we click standard, and then we click favorites to hide any reports QBO has tagged as favorite. So this is to, expand it. This is to hide it. So we scroll down on the page to see the business overview report as shown in figures 1 to 5, as we see here. And then again, you can click on details. We scroll down the page and we click on profit and loss. All right. And then it wants us to click collapse. So here, collapse is to the top left. And then we scroll to the top of the report to view the top part of the profit and loss report as shown in figure 126. All right, so clicking the collapse text summarizes details under a heading. So we see the difference. So here we see it. And here is basically where it's more expanded versus when we collapse it, it basically makes it easier to view, essentially. So next we go back to reports and wants us to look at the balance sheet. All right, and again, we do the same thing. We can collapse it. We can expand it. And then we go back to our reports. It wants us to look at the statement of cash flows. And again, same thing. Craig's Landscape Design and Landscaping Services. We have the statement of cash flows as shown as figure 128. And then again, you can always click details for all of them and it provides you with a greater understanding of what you are seeing. So to find a report related to accounts receivable, you can basically do the following. So if we go back to reports, you can actually type in the kind of reports you're looking for. So generally when you click on it, a list of the most commonly used reports will pop up. But again, you can input the information. So we want to look for accounts receivable, and then we can choose accounts receivable aging summary or the accounts receivable aging detail. And again, you can click on the details for further information. Next, we see company settings, and there's 5 tabs in the settings section of QuickBooks Online. So again, we click on the gear icon, and then we click on account and settings. And then from there, it shows us these 5 tabs. We have company, we have usage, we have sales, we have expenses. They also have, time. This is a new feature, and we have advanced. And then we can essentially edit them by clicking on the pencil. And then after we click on the pencil, we can decide to save it. So on the sales tab, as shown in figure 1.31, this is, we get to see how do we want to customize the look and feel of what our clients see. We can update our invoices, our products and services, late fees, progress invoices, messages, reminders, online delivery statements. So these are things that we essentially make available to customers. Expenses. This lets us know, show items on the purchase forms. We can track expenses and items based on a customer. We can make expenses and items billable. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. And again, for more details, you simply just click on details. Next, we move on to the advanced tab. And with the advanced tab in the account and settings, this basically helps us, to see if there's anything else we need to account. What is our fiscal year? The first month of the fiscal year. Is it February? Is it March? What's the first month of income tax year? Are we cash basis? Are we accrual basis? Do we need to close the books? What's the tax form? All right. Is it a sole proprietorship, partnership, small business corporation? Chart of accounts. Do we need to enable account numbers? Do we have a discount account? What are some categories? This is more advanced. Do we need to track classes, track locations? There's automation, there's projects, currency. Do we need it in the United States dollar? Or do we need it to the British pound, the Canadian dollar, right? So there's a lot of different options. Again, this is advanced. This doesn't apply to everyone. But again, these things are there. And as mentioned, details are there to give you a greater understanding. So we select done to close it out. All right, so this brings us to the end of this chapter, and the end note states, in this chapter, you have used Intuit's sample company to practice navigating QBO. You have accessed customer, vendor, and employee information, viewed various transactions, and viewed the chart of accounts, lists, reports, and company settings. In chapter 2, you will accept an invitation to work a case your instructor assigns you. In chapter 3, you will use the Wild Water Company's to learn how to modify settings, the chart of accounts, beginning balances, and products and services. In chapters 4 through 10, you will use Wild Water Sports Company to learn how to add operating, investing, and financing activities, reconcile a bank account, create a budget, and add adjusting entries. And lastly, prepare financial statements and reports. So again, the key thing is as you go through each chapter, it essentially guides you step by step. So just a quick overview, you see chapter 2, an overview of QuickBooks Online. The focus of this chapter is to introduce you to QBO and to get an account established. So this essentially walks you through the steps of how to set up a company. And then from there, it'll be Wild Water Sports. So I hope this video helps. Again, QuickBooks is a very amazing tool. It is used by, small businesses and even large businesses. This is a software that is used, and you definitely, want to be able to understand the nuances of how to navigate the program. The key thing, however, is that you want to be able to ensure that you understand the basics of accounting, because although QuickBooks is an amazing software, if you don't understand the mechanics, the fundamentals of accounting, it'll be garbage into the program, which means garbage comes out of the program. Or you will prepare financial statements for a customer, you'll do the bookkeeping or the accounting. And if you don't know how to explain, the transaction and the impact that it has on the financials, then this renders this tool, QuickBooks, useless. All right. So I would strongly suggest as you go through this, think about the journal entries. When you create an invoice to a customer, think back to the accounting basics, because you're just creating the invoice, but think back, what would that journal entry be? All right, we provided a service to a customer, but they didn't pay us right away. Based on GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, if I were to record a journal entry, I would debit cash. No, I wouldn't debit cash because I didn't receive cash. Instead, I would debit accounts receivable to account for the fact that the customer owes me money and we're expecting to receive money. And we would credit revenue, because even though we didn't even though we didn't receive the money, rather, we earned it. So based on the accrual basis method of accounting, we record revenue when it is earned, not when it is received. So again, you don't necessarily see the journal entry in QuickBooks, but you should know fundamentally what is happening behind the scenes. And again, QuickBooks is a program, right? Technology makes mistakes. So the better you understand the fundamentals of accounting, the better you will find utilizing QuickBooks Online.